Hi everyone, my name is Stephanie and you're watching Youth-Powered Media on Dolobox Television. Hi everyone, we're here with Miriam Verburg. She's a digital strategist and a project leader at Bloom Digital Media. How are you doing today?
Great, thanks.
That's awesome. So clearly here at Dolobox TV, we have the same passion as you do for creating an outlet for youth to express their creativity through media. What are some words of wisdom you can share with us to work towards our goal?
I think it's really important to value the work you're doing as an economic product in its own right. It's not just something that's feel good. Nobody's doing you a favor by putting it on the air. You're making incredibly great media that should be shown to the widest number of people. And given that you're doing it at probably a much smaller budget than mainstream media is producing their work, asking Canadians to pay 3 cents per subscription to be able to access that media is actually giving them an incredibly good deal. So it's a brilliant idea, and it's a strong economic proposal, so you should be proud of yourselves.
Thank you. So here at Dolobox Television, we're wondering, how did you get interested in community media literacy? And tell me about some of the work that you've done with youth groups.
Well, I graduated with a BFA from Concordia University in Montreal, so I've been making media since I was a kid. And I think once I was done university, I just didn't want to stop living in that community. So I began teaching summer camp workshops at a women's New Media Art Center on how to make websites, and from there it just sort of kept going.
That's amazing. So I'm aware that you were heavily involved in the Atwater Digital Literacy Project for a number of years. How did you manage to get the entire community to participate, and what sorts of opportunities were made available to the youth through this project?
So basically that was a pilot project. We didn't have a lot of money. So what I did was I went and visited every youth group and school in the catchment area for the library that I worked, and I brought flyers and I offered to make tailored workshops. So every person that I spoke to, I asked them what their needs were, what were their barriers to access. So if they couldn't afford subway tickets, or if it was a group for young mothers, they would say, well, we don't have babysitters. And then I would just make sure that everything they said they couldn't do, I provided.
What kind of social change would you love to see as a result of implementing media literacy to youth?
Well, I'm not a huge fan of this idea that you have to make a political topic in order to make your media be political. I think anybody who is learning how to produce media on their own and distribute it on their own is making a political statement, especially if they're a person who has previously not had a lot of access to media. So teenagers, people who have economic barriers to entry, people who are not media literate and therefore are learning new things, anything that they do that expresses who they are and their reality is a political act.
What would you say is the biggest challenge in trying to create something amazing, like giving opportunities to youth to produce media?
I think that anytime somebody who's not considered, who doesn't already have access to power, as soon as they do something, they're either considered exceptional, like so that they're like, oh, look at that amazing thing done by X person. They don't normally do amazing things. And you can insert whatever sort of like ethnic group or gender or queer person you want into that amazing person category. Or if what they're doing destabilizes people, then it becomes subversive. And so the biggest barrier to accepting that everybody is capable of producing amazing media is thinking that the people who don't fit into your mold are exceptional instead of just being good.
So in your thesis, Producing Youth Producing Media, how did you come up with the idea, and what sorts of research methods did you use to complete it?
So I used a model called participant action research, and that means that you are embedded in the site that you are researching and that you are doing your research on the experience of the people participating in the project. So that also included me. I got to research my own experience, which was weird. I decided to not do my research on teenagers, mostly because I felt that when teenagers are asked about their own activities, it can often become exploitive, so that their experiences are translated into something that is meant to represent teenagers instead of who they really are. I also felt like they would be uncomfortable. So instead, I decided to interview the mentors, who were usually in their mid-20s, sometimes aging up towards 30, to talk about how they felt like they were bridges between the teenagers' lived experience and the kind of experience they had to tell the funders the teenagers were having. It turned out to be a really rich topic because the mentors did have a lot of opinions and feelings about what they were doing.
That's great. So clearly there is a need to involve the youth in the media. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us, and it was a pleasure.
Thank you very much.